Hello friends, I'm Eralia, and welcome back into the Eralia Show, a space where I talk about whatever the fuck I want. I hope you all are having a wonderful day wherever you are at. Happy time zone. It is morning time for me. I just woke up this morning. It's a Sunday. I did my daily morning journaling. I cleaned up a little. I just got an energy drink because it's Witch's Brew season from Alani. Not sponsored, and haven't really been drinking too many energy drinks lately, but I am feeling the energy today, so that's what we're gonna do. Cheers to you all, wherever you happen to be. Oh, that's sweet. It's a caramel apple flavor. That just woke me right up. Anyways, the intention behind today's episode, what I'm feeling like talking about is really just pouring my creative energy into you all and making you all feel like when you walk away from this episode that you can tackle anything, whether it's in the next 10 minutes, in the next hour, in the next week, maybe a month, maybe even a year. I want you to get excited and feel like you actually have control over some parts of your life, even if you feel like sometimes you're out of control and there's so many variables and things that you wish you could have had, or you think about past you, future you, all different kinds of you, and like you hope that future you lives in this house, in this place, in this city, but then you're sad for past you who didn't have all this and that. We are going to exclusively focus on the now, because the now is where you are going to be empowered to transition into your future, a bigger, brighter, better future for yourself. And we're going to take matters into our own hands. Now, before we get into that, to recap last episode that we had together, I actually had a little bit of a heart-to-heart with you all. I expanded on my content creation journey and my career journey, more or less throughout the military, talking to you all about how I had been in for a considerable amount of my life at this point, and it felt like the hard thing to do, but it felt like the right thing to do. It's the thing that I had always been training for. It's the thing that felt like my job, felt like my employment. And at the same time, as I entered the military workspace and the military service, I also began content creation, and I began streaming and my YouTube community. And one thing leads to another, where I thought that YouTube would be the fun, silly side of things. I actually was seeing more of an impact on people through spaces such as this one, where I can talk to a large group of people and actually feel that direct feedback from you all through the comments or through the Discord, and then even something that I saw as simple as watching movies or playing games now feels like something that's so connecting, and that's something that's so intimate and such a niche like part of my life, connecting with all of you throughout the world, throughout different spaces, different times, and that's gonna live forever on the internet. Maybe in 10, 20, 30 years from now, someone looks back, and if they can even gain a semblance of feeling of humanity and feeling connected, that means so much to me. And so through that weaving of pursuing my content creation and then also pursuing my military service, the two became more and more intermingled, and I started seeing the benefit of both equally. Something as heavy as giving your life for your country, possibly, right? And then also playing video games on the internet. So very interesting position I found myself and still find myself in, and it's created a lot of fractures within my identity. But something that I've actually been doing in the last 6 months, I can pretty confidently say now-ish, I hit a rock bottom, and that's when I've been going down this woo-woo spirituality journey, okay? I started looking into quantum leaping. I started looking towards God. I started looking towards church. I started looking towards, honestly, anything. Because I'm an open-minded gal. I'd like to think so. I don't know if open-minded people say that, but I also never said I was humble or soft-spoken, so we're just gonna go with that. I like to wear my heart on my sleeve, and I'm an open-minded gal. So I started seeking, as someone who's never, like, I've given trial attempts to different religions. I even attended a Buddhist temple once. Spirituality, faith, not really like a god inherently in Buddhism, but I've tried a lot of things, or I've been around the spiritual block, and I ultimately landed on like nothing, which, to each their own. You don't have to absolutely believe in something to live a successful or a happy life, right? Happiness is what each and every one of us finds in their day-to-day, in their life's journey. When you look back, do you think you were a happy person? And so as I settled kind of on nothing, and as I was going through all of these spiritual and identity fractures throughout my 20s, recently in the last 6 months to a year, I've really been focusing and honing in on that rediscovery piece, not necessarily looking to God in a steeple for answers, but if you think about it more big picture, looking for towards the universe for signs of where I belong. And I'm not going to say I've gone about doing that in the correct way all the time. Normally, sometimes the looking for signs manifests in me like literally asking everyone I know, hey, what's your career? Like meeting someone, hey, what's your job? Are you happy? Hey, you have kids, do you like them? Like it becomes like a Sherlock Holmesing of my entire environment. And where that's cool because you're gathering a lot of data on who you could be, who you meet, who you interact with. At the same time, it's not really great from an introspective point of view if you're just gathering all this research, but then you don't actually draw any conclusions. Like, scientifically speaking, I'm just gathering a bunch of data and it's just dumping into my brain, and then I'm not critically thinking, oh, but what do I want? Right? Like, someone could tell me that they're the happiest person in the world as a high school teacher. Unlikely. But maybe they're really passionate about it, this, that, the other. And then I start thinking, maybe that's what I want to do. Essentially copy paste that into every single person I've met and trying to imprint myself into what they are doing, because I think I was just fundamentally unhappy in the job that I was doing. And I was also looking for reasons to stay at that job. I'd be going to work every day being like, give me a sign, universe, please, that I belong at this job. And then like after weeks and weeks and weeks of like feeling miserable, and then like, an ounce of something would happen and I'm like, that's it, that's the sign to stay. But overall it's like, nah, probably not. So that's where the reflection piece came in. There came a time, period of darkness, reaching my rock bottom. If you haven't hit rock bottom, I envy you, but I also would hope that you hit some sort of wall in your life that forces you to reevaluate. It doesn't have to be super dramatic. You don't have to physically go to war like I did. Like, that's kind of extreme, right? Like, you don't have to go through all that. Like, I wouldn't wish that upon you. But I hope you go through your own war inside of yourself to discover and think about, where am I and where do I want to be? And that's what led me down this path. And so like I looked into the quantum leaping, and that's where I started making the last like probably 5 to 10 podcast episodes that are like, I've quantum leaped, spiritual, you've got to connect the higher with the present, and you've got to talk to the universe and God for the signs, which I still think is cool, and I still think it's a good thing to be intuitive and to daily. I'm not going to ask for what your relationship is with the universe, if you even have one, if you even believe in that, right? The intent behind today's episode and the takeaway that I've had recently is taking advantage of the time that you have now to actually work towards your vision. And there's a couple key parts there in this algorithm. We've got the time, taking the time in the now to work towards your vision, okay? Taking the time that you have now to work towards your vision. And that's the order. That's the order in which things happen. You have to be the person that you want to be. You have to embody that person, okay? You don't have to, you can't wish that you were the kind of person that woke up in the mornings. You can't wish that you were the kind of person that could drive a Lamborghini. You can't wish, okay? Wishing is for kids sitting staring at shooting stars. I don't know. Wishing is for chumps. I don't know. You can wish. You can do whatever you want. But it's not about the thinking. It's embodying. It's becoming. Because then you can do the things that align with the person that you want to be. And then you will actually be fruitful and gain. And that's the order. So if we're thinking about that, and you don't have a vision, you don't really know where you're going, you haven't thought about it in a while, but you know, like, you have a burning passion, like, you're unhappy with your job, your relationships, like, with your place that you're living, you have so many things just kind of that have been boiling up, or you have a creative project you want to pursue, or you want to start woodworking, okay? I don't know what this looks like for you specifically, but you have desires, you have wants, you have things that you want to do, or you haven't thought about it in a while, and it's time for you to lock in and think about it, because you only get one shot at this life, right? Like I said at the beginning of this episode, whether it's getting you excited for the next 10 minutes of your life, the next hour, the next week, the next month, okay? the key there is that a lot of people will think and wish, and then that's as far as they get. And we are trying to push ourselves from just being that good average. We are trying to get into the great territory, not out of competition for anyone around us, not in competition with our coworkers, not in competition with random strangers on the internet. I'm not in competition with you. You're not in competition with me. It is for ourselves. And the real thing that I realized lately as I was having these existential questions in my life and my path and in not having a vision, I was thinking back to me versus me, legit college me, okay? And I was thinking, she wasn't the most figured out. She didn't have it all together, but she always knew where she was going. Like, college me, school was easy because outside of school, like, the hardest thing I would do that day is I was training for a marathon. And if your initial thought is, oh my god, she's like, no one has time for that, no one has time for this, she doesn't have, like, school was easy, and if your immediate thought is to take what I'm saying and to extract negative information and think about how you can make it a problem, that's a red flag. Humbly, that is a red flag. Okay, I am addressing these things in a way that I want to connect with a majority by speaking to my own experiences, and your perception of how you take that information is completely up to you. So no beef with anyone in the chat, all right? No beef with anybody. I'm just trying to help. I'm just trying to help you. And if this isn't helpful and you're just getting mad, then you can leave. So anyways, what I was going to say, as a caveat there, right? What I was going to say is hard things were easier because I was constantly challenging myself at the bottom of it all, okay? And so after I was in college and I graduated, pretty high up there, I was pretty proud of myself. I had academic accomplishments. I had begun my career that I was striving for. I had run a couple marathons, and then, COVID happens and shuts down the world and everything kind of goes to shit. We were all a little robbed there. No harm, no foul, whatever age you were when COVID happened. Everyone was a little robbed for whatever part of life. But the key is to retake life for yourself. So without the vision, those 5 years in COVID limbo as we're coming back online, entering the workforce for the first time as an adult, in the military, and then starting content, and then not doing marathons, not really, like, I was lifting, but I don't know what I was doing. I was just living day to day. And there was nothing wrong with that. I wasn't thinking about the universe. I wasn't thinking about my future goals. I wasn't thinking about if I was happy or not. I was kind of on autopilot for the last several years. And that got me only so long until I recently woke up and was like, I'm actually really unhappy, I think, in my day to day. I can have great friends, I can have great this and that, but I don't think that my work structure is suited to my lifestyle anymore. I don't think I'm morally aligned with my work anymore. YouTube is now here, where it was previously kind of in this space. It was more of like a free roam thing, and now I can see it more as a vision. And actually, I used to love writing music and shit and like working on creative projects when I was young, and now I've been writing a musical for the last few weeks, which has been really great, and it's actually, I'm like pretty fucking stoked about it. I started off with writing an album a few months ago just to get the creative juices flowing again, do something for myself, and then that developed into a musical now, based off of art, based off of an artistic piece. But I digress. How did I get from having this clear vision, training, running marathons, meal prepping, going to school? You can say it's a product of being in your young 20s, but I don't believe in that. Okay, I don't believe in that. Scientists, back off. All right, I don't believe in aging. Youth and time is only what you make of it. To not really having a vision and feeling like I accomplished stuff by default because of being in the field that I was in. So I was constantly traveling, doing great things for like the military and the country. And then now going back to this space of like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? So how did I turn it around in the last 6 months to a year to now training for a marathon again, picking up more school? I'm starting classes again in the next couple weeks for my next degree in a completely different field, to writing a musical in my free time. So in free time, right? You're like, how does she have free time? Well, I don't have free time. I have 5 kids and all this and that. True. Real. That's real. We'll get to that. Because I would see how did I get from that capacity to now existing in the same 24 hours to this alternate existence? And I think that's what I was looking for with the quantum leap 6 months ago. I was like, please, quantum leaping is basically just condensing your timeline to wanting to get the life of your dreams in a shorter amount of time. Because people think, oh, you know what? I actually am going to need, I think, like 3 to 5 years to work on my musical. I've set a very strict timeline for myself. You don't have to do this, but like I said, everything that we're just yapping. It's just between us girls, gender neutral, girls here. And you don't have to set strict timelines for yourself, but I'm encouraging you to do so, because if you think, oh, you know, that project I'm working on, it's going to take me about 3 months. I guarantee that most of the things, agnostic of like actual hard set deadlines, like I can't be like, oh, I want to get out of the military like tomorrow, right? Like there's things that like actually genuinely have to follow a progression of time. There's things that you could knock out that you think are going to take forever, but they really don't take that long. You just have to lock in. You really just have to get out of your own head and become your biggest cheerleader for these missions, for these jobs, for this work project, for this creative pursuit, for starting this business. And so that's the timeline that I'm living in now. That's the whole quantum leap experience. That's shrinking my 24 hours to look completely differently than 24 hours looked 6 months ago when I was very depressed. Mental health is no joke. If you're like going through the thick of it, go seek help. Talk to people. If you can try to look at options to like get professional help. All right, I'm not going to be able to like fix all of those things in a single podcast episode. I'm not a licensed therapist. And I am able to talk, however, through my experiences because of someone who has been through a low. I have been at a rock bottom, and so it makes me feel like I can connect more and actually have more ground to stand on. That's why I said I hope everyone experiences a wall at some point, because then you can really relate to others who have been in a really low point in their lives, and to see them come out of that and blossom, I think is a very valiant thing. So, we all have the same 24 hours a day. If you are starting at a place of like, well, fuck, I don't know how she's going to go to classes, train, do this and that, and she's writing a musical, and she does her YouTube, and she goes to her 9 to 5, and she manages like 50 people, I can't. Let's imagine, like, wipe the slate clean. You versus you. I'm not thinking about college me. I'm not thinking about me now. We're just going to wipe all the slates. And we're going to just draw a stick figure of ourselves in the right now. How do we wish we were? Because you're never going to become an astronaut if you keep behaving as the same you right now. That's keeping yourself trapped in those cycles. Keeping the doom scrolling up. Doing things that are counterproductive, going out drinking on the weekends when you should probably say no to your coworkers because you want to wake up early and get after this and that, or like going home early. Like, what are the things that you're currently compromising on that you know deep inside you shouldn't be compromising on? And that little stick figure, you can actually get a sheet of paper out for this. I highly recommend it. And I use visualization. I use paper and like pencil paper. I've been journaling almost every single day with the exception of a few weeks for the last 6 months, and it's really helped with getting clarity on this. So I'd highly recommend, if you're scared to talk to yourself or you forgot how to write because we had COVID, just try. Okay, it doesn't have to be anything fancy, but get your little stick figure, starting now, clean page, stick figure, and you're like, this is me. This is what I wish I acted like. We're wishing, all right? We're wishing upon a star. You're going to embody those characteristics and think about, you know, the future me that has this thing that I want, has this career, has the people in my life that I want. Because it's not always even material things. It's friendships, too. Like, if the world handed you your dream car, would you have the money to maintain it right now? If you were given all the miracles in the world to just, like, live the life of your dreams, would you actually build the character and the grit and the work that it takes for you to earn those items? Arguably, you could say, yeah, I'd just be happy if I had, like, a Lamborghini. Sure, but that's not the point, okay? If you had the friend group that you really, really desperately wanted, would you actually be able to maintain those relationships right now? Are you emotionally available to have that kind of relationship right now if, like, your dream person fell into your lap? Like, would you actually be a good person to them and be able to sustain that relationship, okay? So we're like, build a me, starting from scratch. Stick figure. What does this person act like that I want to be? What are their morals? What are their values? What are their boundaries? What time do they wake up? What are some of the things they do? What are some of the hobbies that they do? Do they lift? Are they now taking, or they don't even have to take a yoga class. Like I said, not all of this is even material. Like half the things that I stated, sure, taking courses, which costs money. Thanks, military. There's always a bright side. But like training for running, that doesn't necessarily have to cost money unless you're actually signing up for a race. But you can train for yourself. Writing a musical, that doesn't cost money. There's resources online to teach yourself all sorts of things, okay? So we're looking past the barriers. If the barriers are minimal and if there are material, notate that. If you're like, oh, all the things I want, actually, I only have to have money for. That's another thing to write down. That's another thing to ponder, to put into your little stick figure life, right? So, what do they eat? What do they act like? What are their friends like? And what we're going to do is we're going to slowly, delusionally, daily convince ourselves that we are that person. Because in reality, the person that exists in front of you today, I am a product of my last 100 days, my next 100 days, my last 1,000 reps at the gym, last 1,000 receipts and purchases made, last 1,000 conversations. And overall, unless you like murdered somebody, which should probably be in jail, I guess, I don't know, unless you did something like abhorrently crazy, once again, not a licensed therapist, can't help you there, but overall, most people like don't really care as long as you're just like becoming a nicer person. If you traumatize people because you bullied them in school, I can't help you there either. However, I will say if you're really dedicated and whatever life looked like for you in the past and you really, really, really desperately have been trying to become a better person and work on yourself, all you need to focus on is the right now. Because right now is the time. Literally this episode right now, as you were watching this, in the year of our Lord, whatever, day whatever, this is the time in which you need to embody those characteristics and become that person. And it's not going to be linear. You're not going to necessarily always be right on top of it, always hit every deadline, immediately just like, slip into that role necessarily. But we are LARPing a little bit. We are live action role playing as that person. And the key there is if you fall back into old habits and you're like, the person that I want to be, they're not doom scrolling, because Eralia only has 24 hours in a day and she wakes up and goes to the gym and then goes to work and then goes to kickboxing and then does homework after work and then this and that and the other. I really, really, really want to stretch my time because I didn't go from 0 to the pace that I'm operating at. It took me like 6 months of intentional journaling, discipline. Discipline isn't made in a day. This person that you're constructing isn't going to be made in a day, but brick by brick you will still build a house. Rome wasn't built in a day, right? So you're getting those intentions out there. You're becoming intentional with the kind of person that you want to be, and then you start acting. So once you have this vision, the next day, the next hour, you're going to really think on it and truly just let your past self go. And this is something that, like an ego death, essentially. You're going to be doing this over and over and over. And as you keep doing it, it will become easier. And the discipline and all of those baby steps will become easier. And eventually you can get more on your plate. So when I was in my college era and I was like, damn, I'm grinding, working hard, school ain't even bad because the hardest thing I did today was run 12 miles for breakfast. I was on my grind set mindset, and then I hit the workforce, and then I pretty much I was still, don't get me wrong, it's still very impressive to anyone who can just go to work and cook their meals and do like the basic existence. Okay, we have a lot asked on us as humans to exist in this society. Okay, whatever your daily looks like, you're already functioning. You're here. You made it. You're doing great. You're watching this video right now. Take a breath. I'm excited. I'm yapping at you at a high WPM words per minute, all right? I got an energy drink coursing through my veins, but you're doing great where you're at, all right? Just acknowledge that. Be thankful for the person that got you here. You've already done this much. You made it this far. Now we're gonna just shrink that timeline and get even farther and become even hotter, smarter, faster, stronger, like that one song. So then when I was in this liminal space of my my main grind set for the last like half a decade has been go to work, sometimes record YouTube videos or work on my content, and like go to the gym. That was essentially it. I didn't have a social life too much. I didn't have like outside hobbies besides YouTube and the gym. Like I said, it's already great. It's not a comparison game, but I felt relatively empty. I wasn't really working on myself too much. So I would look around and some coworkers, like, I don't know how they, like, I would look at coworkers who had kids and I'm like, I don't even know how they, like, fucking, how do you have time for kids? A lot of times people don't even think about it. They just do it and they just have the kids. And I'm like, how do you gotta take them to, like, school or something? And then you gotta, like, make food for them and, like, hang out with them if you want them to grow up, like, enriched, right? You know, you gotta like interact with them. It's like if you get a dog from the shelter and you never play with it, it's gonna be fine, but like it'd be happier if you did, right? Like that's a whole nother time commitment. And then I had coworkers who at the time were really into like Ironmans, which is running a marathon, 26 miles, by the way, 26.2 miles, 40 whatever kilometers, and then equal-ish distance. I don't even know. I'm a fraud. I don't know. In swimming and then biking. So it's like a triathlon-ish is my understanding. Something like that, okay? So they were doing that training. So they would wake up, they would come in, and they're like, oh yeah, I had my 30-mile bike ride this morning, and then oh yeah, for lunch, I'm gonna go and swim my thousands of meters or whatever. And like that was normal. And so from the place that I was sitting at, I was conflicted because I was like, holy shit, what the fuck? These people have kids and they're able to accomplish so much during their day. What am I doing with my life? Like, I get tired and I get home from work and I can barely like record a YouTube video, which is like what, fucking sitting down and playing a video game for a couple hours with the camera on? Like, I gotta over caffeinate and stimulate myself to barely make that happen, right? What parallel universe are we living in where their 24 hours look like that and my 24 hours look like this? And then maybe back in college, I could have even done that because I was operating at a whole different frequency. And so that was a moment of realization. And now, being from the position that I'm in, I realized that over the last 6 months of intentional journaling, I shit you not, I drew that fucking stick figure, okay? I bought myself a new journal for this. I said, this is the me 2.0. This is the new me journal. New year, new me, you know. It wasn't even New Year's. Like, I hit my rock bottom around March. April. Whatever. Whenever war started. I was really depresso espresso for about a month or two, and then I was like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I ordered a journal, and I got one of my favorite pens, and I was like, new me, and I drew my little stick figure, and I was like, this new me does this. This new me doesn't care how many hours she has to herself in a day, because sometimes work looked like 14-hour days, and I was working 80-hour weeks, and I was like, you know what? I'm still gonna fucking make it happen. I'm gonna try to shrink my timelines. I'm gonna wake up and do this. I'm gonna make sure I hit the gym, even if it's for 20 minutes, and I'm gonna do this and that and the other, because the bite-sized pieces, the brick by brick, this brick and mortar foundation era for yourself, where you are learning that discipline and you are, as David Goggins says, say what you want, you know, wake up, get hard, eat 20 miles for breakfast. He honestly was one of my biggest influences and mentors during like my OG marathon Ralia, college Ralia era, okay? Because I listened to his book, Can't Hurt Me, during my first marathon, like the whole thing, it was like 4 hours. Listen to that book cover to cover. He narrated that shit. I was like, I need to become a Navy SEAL, because that man started out with like nothing. He didn't have money to his name. He didn't have physical attributes. He was just failing. And so what he did fundamentally in that book is he rebuilt trust with himself brick by brick. Daily, he showed up for himself, and he taught himself that he can do anything. You can do anything. You can become those coworkers. Jinky! You can become that person that reads a book a week if you want to. It's literally, like, we have so many resources at our disposal with the interwebs now and teaching ourselves skills. Like, I don't know how to fucking make music. I've never done that in my life. I just, like, sang in choir a little bit. I don't have any of the skills. Sure, maybe you can argue, like, man, she's a little bit more gifted with music, but that's, like, a product of training. I grew up singing. If you started singing in the shower today, I guarantee you'd be better than you would be. You'd be better at singing in a year. That doesn't mean you're gonna be good. That doesn't mean anyone's gonna come to your concerts necessarily, but you will Matter of factly, if you practice and listen to like singing videos for a year, like a couple times a week, and you practice, you literally will get better. Because you get better if you just stick to the process. If you stick to the plot, you will literally get better at stuff. Jinky says yeah. Jinky says yeah. She agrees. She understands. Isn't that right, Jonkle? She's staring at me like she's never seen me before. Alright, get out of here. Scram. Anyways, brick by brick. So, even if, what I'm saying to you now, even if you got 5 babies and you got a job and shit sucks, but you're like, but I really want to do this one thing. Start in tiny pieces. If you want to be the kind of person that can have a Lamborghini and afford maintenance on it, what would that person be doing right now? Would they be waiting a year to close that deal on whatever they're doing? Would they be waiting a year to move to their dream city? Is it actually going to take you a year? I can't tell you. I'm not qualified. I'm not a subject matter expert on your life. Okay, but I can tell you it's probably shorter than you think it is, unless there's literally physical boundaries to you doing the thing. If you just locked in. If I gave you 90 days to work on like an essay or something, what are the chances you're going to wait till day like 85, maybe 89 to start it? Okay, how many people in the world would actually work on this intentionally for the whole 90 days? Now, if I gave you 7 days to work on the essay, you're going to have a little bit of a sense of urgency. And I think that, my friends, is how vision boards work. And that, my friends, is what I was talking about when we started this episode with using our time. Time is our most valuable commodity that we have in this day and age. I heard something the other day. I don't know if this is actually true. I don't even know how to measure this. Maybe like revenue versus like the cost of land. But something about how advertisements right now people pay more for advertisements than they do for real estate, because people's time in the algorithm is so much more precious than like land, because your time is valuable. And the more people can get you doom scrolling and looking at their ads and buying things and blah, 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 and not like working on yourself, the more value it is to them, and the more they can just keep you employed and unhappy, because you never have to think about like your fucking hopes and dreams and stuff, right? How long have those been buried under there? They're gathering cobwebs. Get a little whimsy here. I'm not telling you to drop your job and, move to the Bahamas, but like, you can start in baby steps, okay? So, stick figure, the time that you have now to work towards your vision. And this is the scary part, because if you don't have a vision right now, which I did not, I was just like, frick, I don't know if I want to stay in the military. And I've been just crying about it for like 2 or 3 years. Like, I don't know if I want to stay. I don't know if I want to pursue my content creation journey. I don't know anything. I'm like 20. I don't know. Valid. We hear you, queen. We hear you, king. We hear you. Okay. We hear you. My liege. There you go. There's another one. We hear you, my liege. When you just decide that you want change and you start rejecting your old self, you will lose your old self. It will get lost in the sauce. Even if you don't know where you're going, you will be able to hear yourself more clearly. And whether that looks like signs from the universe and like actually paying attention because you're getting enough sleep or you're eating right, and you decide that you want to lift, even if you don't know that you want to become like a lawyer or something, right? You decide that you want to be the kind of person that can go to the gym, and you make those micro habits. So instead of eating Taco Bell 6 days a week, you're now only eating it 3 or 4 days a week. And you're going to the gym once or twice a week compared to none. And bit by bit, maybe like, it's so crazy because we're all in a symphony together living this life. So the butterfly effect of going somewhere that you're finally ready to go to, and you could have stayed home, but you go, and maybe you see a person that you haven't seen in a long time. Maybe you have a conversation. Maybe there you overhear a conversation and it inspires you for something else. And that's how a lot of the spiritual gurus, they talk about it in different ways. You can talk about synchronicity. That's the word if you want to look up more spiritual woo-woo stuff, but like the synchronicities of the universe, the signs, right? The bridge of incidents is what it's called. So sometimes you're not going to like, your dream car is not going to fall into your lap. But when you decide that you want the dream car and you start working every single day and behaving like the person that would actually deserve, quote unquote, deserve to have it, okay, that would actually do the work and working on yourself, the person you want to be driving that car, I think, is what I'm trying to get at here. You are instantly, you start building that bridge of incidents, and you are able to see the path of getting it because you're actually going to be like working towards it. It's not just going to be something that like you complain about to your friends and be like, I hate my car, I hate this, I hate that, I hate my life. Like, where's the change? Instead of doom scrolling for 10 hours, like you get a 10-hour screen time, are you maybe using some of that time to invest in your business, to actually look at cars on the market, to see how much your car would go for, to this and that? Like I said, every situation is different. I'm not able to pinpoint and to doctor up your life individually, right? That would be a crazy haul for every single person. But I believe in you genuinely to start taking those baby steps, okay? Stop waiting for your future life to begin. Stop waiting for someone else to give you an answer, to try to like find information from the universe and from other people around you and like what you should do with your life. You gotta decide for yourself that you want things to be different, with or without a vision right now, okay? We don't have to figure out every step in the process. And then you just start acting in line with the person that you want to be. And that is how, my friends, you will find the vision. If you don't have it yet, because if you do, then you're steps ahead of the masses. If you know in your heart of hearts what you want, it's just like moving or the dream body or the dream this. Like if you have something to work towards, then you are miles ahead of where I've been for the last half decade. I didn't know what the fuck I wanted. I've just been floundering. I've just been hanging. I've just been living day to day. I've just been, what's the word? Surviving versus living. I've just been YOLOing it. And having that vision, like I guess it's a blessing to be fair. No shade on myself. There's nothing wrong with like surviving and living day to day, or no shade to you. Like I said, you're doing great where you're at. Honestly, I don't think I really thought about it because I didn't really have anything to complain about. I'm just a chill little guy. My work was decent. YouTube was happy. Friends are fine. Like I didn't have like an ideal situation in my like personal life or anything. I don't know if I lived where I wanted to live. I didn't really think about it because I was okay. I was fine. And that's fine. But in your heart of hearts, if you start recognizing that you are not happy and then you start sinking lower and lower and lower, all of this, ideally, you haven't hit your wall yet and you're not miserable. Hopefully this is all preventative in nature and you can start thinking about your life from a different lens. But if you have hit that wall, then you know what I'm talking about and you know that it's time to make changes for yourself. Seriously. Pay attention to where you want to be paying your attention because you are literally paying attention. Pay attention. You're paying with your time and attention. That is the most valuable resource that you have. Investing that instead, like if you give yourself a 10-minute timer to look at reels or whatever on your phone, and then a 10-minute timer to read a book, whether it's because you want to get into reading and it's a fiction book, or because it's an investing book and you want to learn how to be more financially literate and you're learning a skill, okay? These baby steps will benefit you so greatly because, like I said, I have done more work and accomplished more in 6 months than I have, minus like deploying to the Middle East and all these like military achievements and stuff that I've done. Okay, more for myself in my own realm of growth in 6 months than I have in like years, I tell you. And I'm not gonna lie, like it's been pretty easy for me to make vision boards over the last 5 years. It's a tradition that I do, annually on like New Year's, I sit down the year before, like the 31st or that week, and come up with like things I want to accomplish that year. But at this point, I have a vision that's so clear because I have been checking in with myself every single day almost, and I feel like I'm a different person than I was when I started. Like, I'm so intentional about most things, and yeah, I still rot, and yeah, I still have my dedicated time to like relax. I'm not just like going full throttle, but my energy is more sustainable now because now I just operate at such a higher frequency. Like those coworkers that have kids or could train and work or whatever, I have just slowly raised the rate at which I'm operating, the threshold, because now I can't, where I wouldn't have even envisioned going to a kickbox class or a kickboxing class, let alone like the gym is fine, but then like kickboxing separately is fine, but now I can go to the gym and then also hit kickboxing and then the next day go for a run. Like this slow incremental increase. 6 months. Give yourself 6 months to become the person that you want to be and the person of your dreams and to just become a better person, okay? You don't have to reach all your goals, but your clarity and your vision of who you want to be and where you want to be will form along the way, and the answers will come to you because you are intentionally open to hearing them and open to listening, okay? Whew. Man. Yeah, thank you guys for letting me chat with you today. Thank you guys for being here for this episode. I feel like it was a really important one, especially after all of the spiritual work that we've been talking about on the channel and on the podcast for the last 6 months-ish. I think this is truly a great summarization of where like I am now and what everything was leading me towards. And then especially following the last episode where we talked about my content creation journey and my search for identity and this and that. I feel like this was a really great way to wrap up and to maybe give you guys a little bit of pep in your step. We're moving into, like, I just had my 28th birthday. We have like another quarter-ish left of the year. We're almost at that New Year time. And like the vision boarding, if I were to think of, I have a vision right now for like the next year that I want, but I couldn't tell you like a 5-year plan because my timeline has shifted so much. Like previously I would have been like, in the next 5 years I want this and that. I am moving at such a rapid pace in my mind of who I want to be and where I want to be that I don't even know what 5 years from now would look like because at the rate at which I am making changes in my own life and intentionally pouring into like being a better person, a better friend, a better worker, and like a better just person to myself, a better kind human to like the consciousness and the person that's living inside of me. Because if I was a friend of myself the last 5 years and I was like, all right, you're gonna wake up every single day and like you're either gonna rot or you're gonna keep going and you're gonna keep pushing yourself till burnout, and you're also gonna drink 800 milligrams of caffeine so you can record a YouTube video. Oh, also you're not ever gonna listen to yourself and you're never gonna journal with yourself, and then this, that. If you were to objectively like look at the way that you treat yourself and the amount of like stress and pressure or lack of stress and pressure, and you just let yourself do whatever you want and you're like a chill parent with yourself and you're like, yeah, you deserve fast food every day. You deserve to drink every day. You deserve like this and that. That's also what, baby? What? You're just standing there screaming at me from the doorway. I don't know. Come here. Objectively, like, how are you treating yourself too? Which is a key part of the puzzle, because if you treat yourself more nicely, you'll probably treat others more nicely in return. So yeah, I'm really excited to hear about you guys and your journeys. And truly, I do want to hear about your stick figures. So if you made it to the end of this episode, whether you're listening to this like on Spotify, Patreon, YouTube, we have this on Spotify. If you have Spotify like without ads and stuff, if you want to listen to your car, I also upload these on Patreon so you can listen to it without ads and without Spotify. Or if you're just listening to this good old fashioned way on the YouTubes, I would love to hear in some sort of forum where you are at in your journey and where your stick figure looks like and where you want to be. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. See ya.